All right. Well, hello, everyone. In a trader's market. Hopefully, everybody hears me loud and clear out there. Any kind of notion to the affirmative would be very helpful. But it looks like we're coming through loud and clear. So I'm going to proceed ahead. Welcome again. And, with all the different webcast offerings and so forth these days, it's often best just to put things in perspective right up front, let you know if you're making valuable use of your time. So you're in the right place right now if any of the following are true, okay? You currently dedicate or want to dedicate a portion of your portfolio to short-term trading to grow your portfolio faster. And so the main theme here is, even if you have a very large size retirement account, this is something that you could do if you broke off a much smaller tranche and wanted to do some good and in a big way with that smaller tranche. The other thing is to define short term. And so while we do some day trading on occasion, particularly with some of these banks, as you'll see today, there was some further opportunity a little later in the trading session today, but than traditional. But you can keep things in line even on an intraday basis. But generally speaking, we look for days to weeks in terms of our timeline. And I think would be more so on the average days as the average trade length. Okay. Another reason to continue to be here is you want to feel confident in your decision. Oops, looks like the audio got froze up. So for you guys on YouTube, you probably aren't experiencing this issue, but just give me a second here, guys. All right, so hopefully we should be back. And yep, looks like we're coming through again. Okay, or you want to feel confident in your decision that you bought the right stocks at the right time and you can sell them at the right time in the future. So that, again, is another really good reason to stick around for the entirety of this webcast. So my promise to you guys, if you do stick around, providing the audio holds up for me here, is that you can adapt and thrive no matter what the market throws at you. All right, so let's talk about how we're going to do that. First, my name is Steve Chappell. I'm the Director of Trading Systems Development here with VectorVest. I've been with the company now for more than 20 years. It's been quite a ride, and I enjoy my new role in developing trading systems for the public. I am just a small piece of a very highly skilled and professional outfit here at VectorVest, and we all take pride in delivering what we feel is the best stock market guidance you can get anywhere and at any price. And this webcast is no exception, because a lot of what you're going to see today, of course, is just free information. Okay. So what are we going to need to get the job done? Well, you're going to need the right tools. You're going to need the right tools to get the job done that will help you adapt and therefore thrive in any market condition. It's a lot like when I was prepping up my old house to sell. Very fortunate to land in the new property that my wife and I are in, where we have a small event venue where we do weddings and corporate events and things, and it's right adjacent to the new home. A beautiful property. The old NASCAR driver, his actual chauffeur, is who we bought it up from. It's fantastic. But as I was fixing up that old house, one of the things that I wanted to do to get a premium was to fix up the deck, which was a job. It had a multi-layered staircase up to a higher level deck. And I got out the old belt sander, and in about 15 minutes, I realized that was going to take all weekend just to try to get it sanded down. And so got in the car, went up to the store, got a drum sander, and that took a lot of the time off. And so it's just all about having the right tools. You figure that out pretty quick. When you got the right tool, everything's a lot easier. So we're going to be talking about the right tools today. Okay. This is the tool that we're going to be featuring. It's called the Derby. Some of you may have heard of it, others may not. It's a fantastic tool. It was built to address the most common question that Dr. DeLito and I were fielding as we traveled across the globe. To any seminar and event seemingly we ever went to, the most common question we ever received, somebody would tap you on the shoulder, say, "Hey, come over here to the corner. You don't have to tell everybody, but just tell me, what's the number one strategy in VectorVest? You guys have 300 searches in your search directory, there's got to be one that's just like the holy grail, And of course, it's a bit of a loaded question in that changes. Markets change, right? So there's times to be looking at value. There's times to be looking at growth and other variables, in between. And so often that dynamic changes. So we felt what we should do is build a tool that's built to address that common question and give folks what are the best strategies to be thinking about right now, right now as we speak. And by the way, if you stick around to the end of the webcast, I have a document that I'll be putting up into the chat that lists out those top strategies right now. Okay. So do stick around for that. But what this tool does, it's built kind of in the spirit of a horse race, in that we take all the strategies that we feel are highly liquid and highly tradable, and we put them in this tool. And what it does, it's like running a race. The strategy that's performing the strongest by way of your analysis measurements is at the top. And, number 2 is second place runner. 3 is third place on down the list. It's long been our philosophy for how to pick strategies, when markets start to change course and move in the other direction. And there's an incredible amount of data in this tool. And we'll spend some time talking about that, because, it's one thing to know what is the absolute hottest strategy today, for example, but it's a whole different animal to know, well, what has been the strongest strategy over the last 5 days consecutively, or the last 3 months. And so you can get that kind of data. You can get that kind of data from the Derby. You can see anything from, what's the catalyst right now as the markets are trying to find some support here and maybe jump up off these support levels that's underway right now, or, what has been one of the better options over the past 3 months, or anything in between. Okay. And so we're going to show you a little bit about that science as we go through this. So before we get to what you've learned, we probably ought to learn you. So let's get in and take a peek. All right. So with all of this in mind, here we are in VectorVest, and we'll talk about the tool we were talking about, the Derby. But before we get there, it's best to kind of set things up as VectorVest always does. And that is, first and foremost, we want to take into account market direction, and then everything follows from that. So right on the homepage is where we always like to start. And right now we're coming into a situation where we had a wall of red, and we're starting to see a little bit more and more yellow eke into the list here. So the market is certainly trying to turn a corner here. It's trying to find support and get moving in the other direction. And so knowing that, we can then begin to reduce our short side exposure, certainly. And while we do that, start getting prepared to maybe jump on some stocks here and there if things are explosive enough, or when we start to receive bullish signal in VectorVest, and we start to see some green here, for example, or we see a primary wave turn up, what are the strongest searches then, and so that I can maximize the opportunity that lies in front. That's the 30,000 foot view of what we're trying to accomplish. Okay, so right now the market is still trying to find a floor for sure. Great to see the exuberance today. We kind of saw a day similar to that 2 days ago, right? Now we did finish, I think, a bit better. If we come up here to the top and go to timing, market timing graph, and we just kind of come into the 3 months here, there's a pretty big difference between 2 days ago's attempt and today's attempt. And that is how the market's finished that day. So 2 days ago, banks tried to get cooking then, and that was quickly met with more selling as there were more and more questions being raised. And I'm not sure that we're totally through those woods yet. For example, FRC, First Republic, right, is potentially got a suitor, right? But what is that price going to be? It's true that they're selling at still about a 60 or 70% discount, but that doesn't mean that that's what they're going to be bought for if they are bought, and all these other different kinds of variables that are out there, right? But the one thing that we can observe here for sure is that the market is starting to feel a lot more comfortable with whatever the outcomes might be. And we know that because the market finished so close to the highs for the day, to the highs for the session. And so the change in sentiment started out actually worse than 2 days ago, right? We opened lower than we closed yesterday, went lower, and then these banks started to catch fire in other parts of the market. Some parts we're doing okay to begin with. And what we ended up was that change in sentiment persisted then, though, all the way through the remainder of the session, all the way up till the close, essentially. And so, yeah, this is a much more meaningful day, and a day that indicates that if the markets open strong tomorrow and, continue to show some strength for the first 15 or 30 minutes, I think it is potentially wise to start nibbling at some stocks that have been creamed, and maybe even working in some of these small regional banks as part of that solution, not the entire solution. There's still too many questions, right? But there was even opportunity there today, and that's what I'm going to show you is really how cool this tool is. So you're going to learn later on about a trading room that we have. We meet with everyone first hour and a half of every trading day. Unfortunately, this rally didn't get going until after Glenn, who was the instructor today, since I'm doing these later duties this week. He was not in the position where he could have taken advantage of it, but I'm going to show you how you could have. So if we come up here in this market timing graph and switch things, you can go to an intraday graph. Okay. Now the other thing, the easier way to get there would be to close this, go into the actual tool that we use called the Derby. So we're going to get to that timing component within this tab, within this tool in the software. Now, this is not a tool that everybody has. We're going to talk about that at the end today as well. This is an informative webcast to let you know if this is something you're going to be interested in or not, okay? But what you see here on the right, these large protruding green bars, that's the horse race, okay? The top runner today was a bottom fishing search called Pirates Long. The second best runner today from the open, so this is after the pre-market and all that, but from the open today was VST Mighty Mites, then Silver Singles. And what we see is a lot of bottom fishing strategies up here at the top, okay? When we open or click on a green bar, it'll show you the stocks that are in there. So that you can see this thing was up 13.73% today, okay? Now, it actually started out underwater and then started to hit its stride. I think you'd say, somewhere around 1040 to 1050, depending on how aggressive you want to be. I really don't care. There's slippage here to be sure. That's not what this is all about. What it's about is, can this tool present opportunity for you as a trader, okay? And what we would know at this point, if we come into this tool, is that Pirates Long wasn't at the top of this tool in the first hour of the market today for sure, because what you saw there was the basket performance, I'll show it again, was underwater, okay? It was kind of head above water there for a little bit and then whoop, And so it would have fallen off, right, coming around the first bend. But as you came around the second bend, that's when these bottom fishing searches started to get back to the top, or actually get to the top of the list, right? And when they do, how can we take advantage of that? So one way is, it's at the top. So if you're interested in buying stocks today, that's the search you ought to favor. But more scientifically, on when to take action, we have this Derby timing indicator over here on the left, okay? And that question's from a while ago. Okay, good. If I click on this, okay, and we just focus on today's action, for example, you're going to see some squiggly lines down here at the bottom. What these lines are is a representation in real time, minute by minute, of these two bars. You have a bullish bar and a bearish bar, okay? Now, there's a lot of intelligence baked into these bars, more than you might imagine. You can also click on the question mark. It'll start telling you, all the different things that we look at. We're not going to give you the computation. Otherwise, somebody will make VectorVest Werby, okay? But we will tell you what we look at. And that is, we look at the Dow, how much it's moving, the NASDAQ, how much it's moving. So not just the direction, but also even the magnitudes. The S&P, our VectorVest composite. We look at advance to decline and the the magnitude of that movement. So it's not just direction and movement of these things. It's also, there's a magnitude component baked in, okay? And we also look at the 9,000 stocks sliced and diced by all these searches by many different factors. For example, we can even eliminate stocks less than $10 if we want to do that. Okay. So what we have here though is a 0 to 2 scale. Above 1 is favorable. The higher, the better. It's not like a stochastics where something becomes overbought. It's the stronger the amount of movement of all of those things is occurring as it climbs. Okay. Likewise for or inverse, if you want to think of it that way, for the bearish bar, when things are super hot on the bull side, you would expect a super cold bearish reading, right? And when the bears are out in full force, you would expect a red bar out here well above 1 and a green bar well below 1. Okay. Now what we can do is when we click on that box, we can look at it intraday as it unfolds. And we can even bring this back to give it a little bit more realism, I suppose. So when we opened up today, I would think many of us were favoring the short side of the market, and this indication still would be, yeah, if anything, you're still now where, this only happens maybe 3 or 4 times out of the year, where markets are so oversold that you start, looking for the stock market to jump. And so one of the great things for Derby subscribers is we can keep tabs on that intraday. And so as you begin to march forward here, you start getting even a little bit more excited. Well, I don't know, okay, well, I'm just about ready to think about pulling the trigger, and then it kind of dipped off again. So we've got this green dotted line, and we kind of use that as our best gauge on how good is good enough to be a good score on the 0 to 2. And over time, we've developed 1.2 seems to be kind of the sweet spot, realizing nothing is perfect. Nothing ever is, right? It's all likelihood in the stock market, no matter what you do. But it tends to be a pretty good watermark, okay? So at this time, when you get the second run with that, so first of all, good thing we didn't commit a lot of money to the upside of the market yet, because the market hasn't gone anywhere, okay? It's true a stock here or there maybe, right? We all get that, but to put all the odds of success in our favor when we launch a trade, not knowing what the future holds, we like to see something like this, where now you've got a total change of the guard and you've got that alligator mouth, right? You've got the divergence, and really a lot of momentum beginning to build on the upside. Now, you've got a little bit of maybe pause in that you're just shallow of resistance, but as you break through, this seems like a logical time, at least to me, thereby I hope for you, since I'm the coach, right? That you're now breaking through meaningful areas on an intraday basis where the market is sold off 4 times, and now you've broken through, and overwhelmingly then the bulls are out in force, okay? And it just keeps running. So before long, you're gonna come to the same conclusion, whether it's as quick or a little later. I'll leave that up to you, okay? But what we do is we trust the tools. We trust our instrument panel to the best of our ability. And this would have been a good time to consult the Derby, right? And so if I go back over, what time is this right here? Let's see. I'm doing this in real time with you guys. How cool is that? Okay. And I did buy one of the bank stocks today. And I did sell it before the close because I don't know what's going to happen with some of those things. But this is 10:54. Yeah, right about what I would have expected. All right, now when I come down here, and then if we isolate 10:54 here on this chart, this strategy at that time was up 3%. So yeah, it would have been certainly in the top 10 or so strategies in VectorVest. And then, as it kept climbing, eventually getting all the way up into pole position and maintaining that throughout the day. And the reason I would say that is there's a lot of overlap in these top strategies. So this is often the case. The early winner often remains the winner because the stocks that are running tend to be the ones putting the preponderance of strategies at the top. Okay. Eventually this will load up and it'll show you that, FRC, for example, was the big driver in both of these portfolios. The other thing that this points out is there's all kinds of regional bank implications in this portfolio. So I don't think this is a traditional bottom here at VectorVest where the stock market's going to go up for weeks and months on end from now. Hopefully we all agree on that. There's far too many uncertainties still in the stock market and no real catalyst for the stock market to do that. When the Fed starts lowering interest rates again, that's a catalyst, right? When, conclusion to war in Ukraine, so many different possibilities that could have a little bit more meaning than, well, looks like for at least the moment we've shored up the regional banking sector. That's not a catalyst to drive you higher for 3 months on end, right? But it is saying, hey, look, right now, maybe even for today or the next couple of days, these are where it's at. This is where the money is, right? And so, pretty cool. I mean, it puts the things. Now, this is on any given day. Some days it's going to be cryptocurrencies, or some days it's going to be just your high growth stocks. Some days it's going to be value stocks. There are days in here where some of the conservative strategies are at the top of the list, and that's saying, hey, if you're going to buy something, let's maybe today is not the best day to expect a 6% return on an intraday basis. That kind of thing. So very informative tool. It just gives you so much information in so many different ways. I would just say this. Anytime a strategy, though, has like a 3-time levered regional bank fund and it has 3 of the bigger movers on the regional bank front in it, buying this whole basket would be putting your risk way out of line. So you might do 2 of them, kind of pick or you might even just do the Direxion, whatever the case may be. They all went to higher highs for the remainder of the day. So, that's the main point. Now I would say higher highs. They all finished much higher than when you would have triggered in. They didn't finish at the high point. That's what this curve is telling you. Okay. So that when you look at them, for example, we'll look at First Republic. That was the big mover today. One of Kramer's favorites, right? Oh man. Yes. Well, yeah. So, you kind of look at how things finished up. You had a bullish engulfing on big volume, higher open tomorrow. There could be some further day by day upside here. The problem is you got that, but even Warren Buffett says you got to buy when blood is in the streets, right? He bought what? He bought some more Occidental, I think, today or something like that. Petroleum is really crude rather has taken quite a bit of a hit. Of course, those companies are printing money as long as it's north of $40 a barrel, But anyway, all this to say, there's probably a little bit more opportunity here. I don't know that you're out of the weeds for even buying for the long term just yet. There could be some short-term opportunity on the back of pattern, volume, finishing north of the midpoint for the session today, all those different kinds of things. And seemingly this market has really begun to try to establish anyway, again, for maybe just a short-term basis, we'll see that around $20 a share is where buyers are resurfacing in numbers, big numbers, right? So a couple of things. Because of how much they're moving and how much risk there is, how do I cope with that as a trader? So for example, I generally don't run out on any trades with more than 1.5% risk. I do that very simply. I look to fill out 10 stocks. And if I can only fill out 3, I simply just use 30% of the capital. Okay. And then I use roughly a 15% stop loss at all times to get started. And then there's some adjustments from there. Okay. And other factors that enter into the equation. But, that keeps your risk at 1.5%. Right. Now, I'm not sure I feel comfortable going $20,000 or $40,000 or more into FRC, right? So and if I look at the chart on how this stock performed today, and often these stocks that do move this much have this kind of profile where it looks great at the end of the day, but at one point here, you drew back about 60% of the rise, and then when you came up here, you drew back probably half of that next rise and so on. And so if you walk in here with a 10% trailing stop, you're just going to get stopped out and probably at a loss. most of the time. So the way to deal with that is, instead of sticking with the 10% trailing stop, or I'm just using it for simplicity of math, okay? You do a quarter size position or a third size position, right? And then you can use 30 or 40 or whatever, whatever numbers you feel are going to give you a fighting chance, right? And that's the reality. If you're going to go after something like this, that's what you're going to have to do. This just happens to be the instance for today. I've always got to talk about, what's at the top of the Derby today. And, when we see these kinds of things, how we can cope with them. On most traditional days, top Derby strategy is probably up in the neighborhood of 5-6%, just to give you, and that's usually like most of the stocks in the portfolio are up 4, 12, 9, 3, -1, the numbers are a lot more. So this is an abnormal situation, to be sure. I'll use a lot of funny words sometimes. I think it's maybe helpful for you as you hear them, just to kind of sink in. Okay. So, this is a little bit out of the norm of what we would do, but it also shows you how powerful the tool is. No matter what's going on, it's showing you what to do. And then if we as traders know how to take advantage of that, it offers up a lot of opportunity. No, that means you probably didn't walk away with 13% today if you're following my math carefully, right? But you could have made 3 or 4% pretty easily. You see what I'm saying? And on normal days, that's kind of where you're at, looking for, that's a good day. Yeah, it's a really good day. Okay. And there's going to be some days where it doesn't work out, and, everything in between. We'll talk facts here. There's our hit rate is about 40% winners, and on those 40% winners, we generally make, somewhere around 40% a year on year, for the last 7 years. Okay. Mm-hmm. So that'll put some further context here. This is not something where you're going to make 13% a day for 200 trading days. That's not what we're talking about, but does it present the opportunity to get those 40, 50, 60% returns year on year sometimes? You bet. Absolutely. It has for me, each and every year. So that's what it's all about. Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. So I'm going to move on from here. Not too many questions so far. That's good. And as we do, you can even look back at a little more history, and you can use the tool in an even more grandiose way, I guess, for lack of a better term. Over here on the left, there is this analysis mode. So this is just what's happening today. There's also day trading mode, buy and hold mode, vary the start date, sliding window. Vary the start date is something that we used to do a lot, even by hand, in Unisearch, for picking our top strategies on market turns in our newsletter. Now it just automates the process, which is great. What you can do here is say, all right, what's been the most consistent strategy in VectorVest for the last 62 straight trading days, assuming a buy and hold? I bought 62 days ago, held to now. Bought 61 days ago, held to now. Bought 60 days ago, held to now. So it's holding, like any scientific experiment, you have a control, right? So in this particular test, the control is the current time, the current day. So actually, believe it or not, cryptocurrency stocks, Nomo, Mojo, and then you have a lot of bearish searches, right? Makes sense. If we think about where the market was 3 months ago, where we are now, makes a bit of sense, although we are up off those October lows, right? But remember, that was more than 3 months ago. We're kind of back to par from 3 months ago, where your intermediate low was in late December of 2022, kind of the support level that we're at now, right? So if I often talk as if you guys know the ins and outs of the stock market gyrations as well as I do. If you come and look, this is the intermediate. So you had the ultimate low so far. You've got maybe this inverse head and shoulders, right? We triggered, and are we going to hold on to pattern is kind of what we're asking now. But that's all reliant on staying above this intermediate low. The intermediate low is 53.43-ish. 53.40 is the zone, plus or minus a few percentages either way. It's a window. It's not a absolute line. You can't tie a penny to a support line. It's a zone. Okay, that's the first thing you got to learn, right? So we stopped in advance of that ultimate penny, right? But we stopped in that zone and are trying to go the other way. So when buyers can't wait long enough, sometimes you stop at the high side of the zone. When everybody's still a little bit reluctant, sometimes you stop on the low side of the zone before you start heating up. This one, buyers are ready to try to see some upside here. And but anyway, that's the reference I was going after. So when did we start basing here? Oops. Might be a little bit more scientific for if I want to try to pick a bullish strategy. Maybe I want to go after something that, for the last 4 days is showing some signs of life. So if I come back over to the tool, instead of 62 days, I could do 4 days. Okay. Let's say from the beginning of the week. Rising ETFs. And so far, 40% winners the first day, 60% winners the second day, 70% winners, and now 100% winners, and up 6.71%. All 10 stocks today made money at an average of 6.71. Okay. Then you have prudent performers, not banking stocks. but anyway, 5.53. Maybe there's one banking stock in there. I don't know. Pirates Long, bottom fishing search. Okay. So notice the big jump here. That was what you saw on today's action. Remember that? The Pirates Long was up 13.73. Okay. Now it's made money 3 of the last 4 days. One day was a pretty bad day though. So it's up to you how you want to use and interpolate this data. I recommend sticking with the things that are more towards the top of the list on all lists. Right. So rising ETFs is interesting. If we come here to the top and we then go to day trading, this will look at opening and closing every single day. So in this case, because we're on market open, it would be from open to close. If I bought Pirates Long strategy from the close of business yesterday and held it for just the open to the close today and did that every single day for the last 4 days, this is kind of how the equity curve looks right here. Okay. So you can do that kind of analysis. There's all kinds of stuff that you can do in here. If we go back to the full swath of data and you want to say, all right, I'm going to take market timing out of the equation. Just given a 1 week hold, what's been the best strategy in VectorVest over the last 3 months? Like just arbitrary. I bought it on a Tuesday and sold it the next Tuesday. I bought it on a Thursday and sold it the next Thursday. I bought it on a Monday and sold it the next Monday. So that's called sliding window. Now you can do 2 weeks, you can do 3 days, you can slide however many days you want. A lot of times I slide a week, just to, sliding window chapel. And so on any given week, cryptocurrencies have been one of the better strategies, along with a lot of bearish, just one bearish, 2 bearish in a row. So, but it lists them out for you. What are some of the better opportunities? Lo and behold, Pirates Short. So kind of the kissing cousin of Pirates Long, if you will. Boy, I don't know if we can use that kind of language here anymore. Let's see. But that's an old term, okay? So hopefully that this makes some sense, but this desensitizes market timing because it's just weak holds. And, so there's going to be some rough weeks, but there's a lot more good weeks than there are bad weeks, so if you're just going to buy and hold stocks for a week, that's going to give you better than average chance to be right. Much best chance of any search in the software. Okay. And so there's many, many ways to do this. Our age-old philosophy is we like to use turning points to signals, right? So, for example, when a market stops going down and starts going up enough to get a signal, let's just say DEW, for example, right? If this were current, like, if today we got the DEW up at the close today, I would count back 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 and say, all right, there's been 8 days, So then I would open up my Derby tool and I'd say, all right, I need to vary the start date, right? And what has been the best strategy over the last 8 days, if that were current? And that's the practical application. of things that make sense. Okay, so you would just take this to 8 days, right? And sometimes you got to look at a calendar to know 8, but we'll just ballpark it. That's 7. All right, 8. Good thing is it tells you. Oops, clicked the wrong one. What happened up there? There we go. That should be it. All right, so 8 days, right? And it's cryptocurrency, Pirate short. So the only long one up here right now is cryptocurrency. Does that inspire a ton? If this were the case, would that inspire a ton of? That wouldn't happen. Number one, you'd have a lot more bullish strategies up here if the market was up 8 for the last 8 days, basically. But it narrows down the window of what to think about. Is really the main crux. All right, so there's lots of ways to use this tool. Hopefully we've detailed some of the very best for you. I even showed you a way that some of us here at VectorVest did take some positions only intraday. Some made more than 20%. Wasn't me. I got into work a little too late. I'm on the night shift this week. But it's a fantastic little tool and can get you onto some good trades. Okay, so with all that, let me get back to our PowerPoint here and talk about what we learned, or what we hope we learned. Today you learned how to keep the wind at your back on your short-term trades, and it's a stress-free, easy way to evolve with the changing conditions to pick those right stocks. So that tool does all the work. It helps you time your entries on an intraday basis. It helps you pick the stocks to focus on. It even will help you with your campaigns in terms of what are the strongest strategies from the recent bottom, or what are the best bearish strategies from the recent top, all and everything in between. If you're in the middle of a market that's been ripping higher for a year, just give me the strategies that are the best over the last 3 months, because those are probably different than what was best over the first 3 months, and they often are. So it helps you go about a stress-free way of picking the things that are most consistent with the current market conditions. There's no such thing as you can't do it. You absolutely can. We pride ourselves in getting you up the hill. I certainly do. I lead from the back in this case. Often you hear about leading from the front, right? But what I do is I make sure everybody goes up the hill first. That way I don't get shot by the machine gun. No. So what I do is make sure I don't leave anybody behind. Okay. I often lead from the front, but make sure nobody's left behind is probably the best analogy. All right. So we showed you a stress-free way to do this and thrive no matter what the market throws at you. We've been doing it for 7 years. Anybody that's in the Jockey Club for that length of time certainly will be able to attest to that. And we have quite a few. We shouldn't even say few. We have quite a many. Okay, this group is large. We get together every single day, and I should talk a little bit about that because that's going to be part of this 30-day process. You're going to have access to this trading room where of us in there at any given time throughout the hour-and-a-half session. Lots of people come and go, but there's typically between I'm just going to say several hundred anytime we look at the dials. Okay. And more than 1,000 people in the group, just to give you an idea. It's a big group, okay? And a lot more. But anyway, every single day, and we get together at 9 a.m. Eastern. That's New York City time, which is a half hour before the market opens, and we stick with you till 10:30. Okay, so an hour and a half together every single day. So for 30 days. You get access to us, some of the very best coaches at VectorVest on trading for an hour and a half every single day for $29, less than $1 a calendar day, a little bit more than $1 for every trading day, which is ridiculous. Because I can assure you VectorVest pays me more than $1. So, all you got to do is go to they pay me $2. Yeah. No, www.vectorvest.com. That's a lot more, isn't it? www.vectorvest.com/thrive. www.vectorvest.com/thrive is where you go if you want to be a part of this group. We have a lot of fun. We even got a Facebook page out there where a lot of the Derby subscribers are on, called VV Nation. And so, I'm sure you'll learn all about that and everything else as you become part of this group. And just it's a great community of traders. And a lot of times we even get shared ideas from the people in the room, there's a lot of value there. So it's just great. I wish some of those folks could tell you all about it more than just me, because I think you'd see a lot more value in that. But we're always talking about how we're using the tool, and that helps you hopefully then make some decisions. We don't ever tell anybody what to do. We do show live trading, live executions in real time, just to show you some brief success. If I come over here into the RoboTrader tool, this is linked up to a brokerage. This portfolio is up 17%. That was from October of last year, 17%. Okay. This one only goes short. It's up 4%. Trading for charity. I don't know when Patrick did that. He made about 4% he made 4% in about 2 weeks. Okay. And that's with proper risk management and everything. It's not putting all your money into one trade and you're a genius because you made 17% or 4%. No, that's many trades. Okay. All right. If we come over here, let's see. This one's up 0.93. Looks like we're giving back a good bit. Been kind of a roller coaster in this one, but just about everything here is green, right? That's what it's all about. So let's get back over here. Last couple of months have been tough. We say thrive. What we're doing right now is survive. We're surviving. Oh dear. But, make no mistake. Once the market gets on a roll, that's where we do thrive. So market does need to move. You can't just bounce around with high volatility and change direction every 3 days and thrive, no matter who you are. So anyway, hopefully we see you in the next meeting. If you go to this website now, I'm going to put it into the chat. Actually, I'll give you a link. This will give you access to a page. Let me make sure it works for you guys. I will put the document up in the room here in a second. I've actually remembered today. Oops, let me click that again. There we go. Oops. I'm gonna have to check with the guys. That was working just a minute ago. All right, I'll get with the guys. Let me make sure I typed that in right. Price for this is the same price for everybody, okay? And it looks like there might be a problem on that sales page, so I might have to get with the guys right after I leave you guys here. It was working just moments before this started. So anyway, I'll check on that, but that's going to be the website to go to, vectorvest.com/thrive. $29, that's good for 1 month, okay? After that, you're looking at real time plus Derby, so $12.95 plus $9.95 plus exchange fees. So, the price goes up. But what I tell folks is, if we can't prove to you that you're going to be able to not only sustain that subscription value, but profit on top of it enough for it to be worth it for you, then you just don't continue. I mean, it's that simple. So you got 30 days to figure it out for peanuts, a little more than $1 a day, a little more than $1 a trading day. It's just ridiculous. So you're going to get, even if you did nothing else but just spend the month with us, you're going to get like thousands of dollars worth of education for $29. I mean, I'm going to call it what it is. It's ridiculous. Okay. $29. You're going to get better education than a lot of people who pay for $1,000 courses here, because you get access to us for an hour and a half every single day, every moment of that hour and a half, for more than 20 trading days in every month. That's a lot of value, man. It's a lot of value. So who are the instructors? It's Glenn Tompkins, Steve Chappell, Jerry D'Ambrosio, and Patrick France. Patrick is more of our intraday trader, does a really great job. Had a good intraday trade short actually on the banks this week when he was in, and I think maybe even did some contras. But Glenn was in most of the rest of the week because I'm late this week. I think Jerry was in there as well this week. But next week I'll be in there Monday and Thursday, I believe, is my new day now with our new schedule. Tuesday is Patrick, and then Glenn or Jerry on Wednesdays and Fridays is kind of the format. Okay, we like to mix it up. People like the keeping it fresh, with the different personalities, because we're together so often, and it actually does show a little bit of different insight into how to use the tool from a different perspective. Although we're largely the same, there is some minor differences, and it's usually in terms of holding period, on what you're trying to accomplish. All right, guys, thanks for spending a little bit of time with me. Guys on YouTube, I can't give you the link, but just kind of take a mental note. It's vectorvest.com/thrive. I'll get over and make sure these guys get this turned on. We'll see you guys soon. All right, hopefully we'll see you tomorrow. When you sign up on this website, you'll get email correspondence giving you registration and everything for the sessions. So don't sweat about that. Once the orders come through, you'll receive correspondence letting you know, yep, we got it. And, oh, by the way, here's 3 or 4 more emails on how to get started and how to get involved in this group. Okay, guys? So we'll see you soon. Good luck out there. See you soon, guys. Good luck. Best of luck.